Frank, great to speak to you as ever, ahead of a big weekend of boxing this weekend involving David Avanesian. You signed him back in October. Just what are your hopes for him moving forward?
Well, I'm looking to see some more explosive performances. He's ranked very highly by the WBC, and they're looking to put him in an elimination. He's supposed to be fighting Ortiz, but Ortiz has taken another fight. So we've had to make a fight in the meantime. We were trying to make the fight with Conor McGregor, made quite a substantial offer for him to fight him, but that didn't happen. So, keeping him busy. A fight on Saturday. He's in with an undefeated fighter. I expect him to come through that because I think he's a devastating fighter. He's very exciting. And I want to get him in for a shot for the world title because I think he's very capable. He's not a youngster, and it's not like I've got to go and sort of bring him through. I mean, he's been there, he's done it. He's fought in the States, had a really good win out there. So we just want to move him on and get him into really big fights, meaningful fights.
Everybody is aware of what's going on in Ukraine at the moment. David does have Russian heritage, so was this fight in any jeopardy at any stage?
No, not really. We did think about it, but he's Armenian. If you see when he fights, he always carries that flag in the ring prior to being with us. He's licensed in Serbia. His parents were refugees from Armenia from a war in Eastern Europe. They made their way to Russia. But he's based here. He trains here all the time. He spends all his time here, and he supports Wigan Football Club. So that's him there. He spends more time here than anywhere.
So it won't have any effect on the fight whatsoever and the event itself?
No, absolutely not. And you'll see on the night, as we did last week at York Hall, all the ring will be in yellow and blue in our small way, showing support to the people in the Ukraine.
I think there's disappointment among some fans that we're not getting this fight between David and Conor Ben. It's a fight that you tried to make. Do you see it being realistic in the next few months?
No, they don't fancy it, and that's the end of it. If they fancied it, we'd be getting it on. And as I said to them, they can put it on. I'll pay my man. So I fancy him big time to beat Conor. He's a good fighter, by the way, but I fancy him. But they don't want to know. They don't fancy it at all.
Conor Ben's announced his next opponent next month, Chris Van Heerden. I mean, one of the main reasons that it seemed that the Avanesian fight didn't happen was because it was described as a trade fight. What do you make of Ben's opponent next month?
I think if you asked anybody walking down the street, who do they know out of the two of them, it's a no-brainer. And let me tell you something, with David, he fought in the States, on TV in the States, and had a good win out there. So it's probably been seen by more people than actually Conor Ben. They've seen Conor Ben in the States. It's a bit of a nonsense. Look, there's easy ways to get out of fights. You can sprawl those things up, and say all these, say you don't want it for this reason, that reason. The reason they don't want it because they do not think their man will beat him. That's the bottom line of it. If they thought he could beat him, they'll make the fight.
It's a big weekend for Khamzat Chimaev as well, stepping up to middleweight. Obviously, he had that strange victory over Bradley Skeet in December, but he stepped up now to middleweight, and he's got a 3-year deal with you now with Queensbury. So what are you hoping for him over the next coming years?
Well, I just want to see him step up, as you say. We're going to get him comfortable at middleweight. It's a new weight division, but he's a big guy. He's quite tall. He's quite rangy. I think it'll suit him at middleweight. And we want to get him some meaningful fights, and by the end of the year I want to see him holding some sort of recognisable title.
We're here merely a stone's throw away from Wembley Stadium, and anticipation very much building for this fight between Fury and White. Has there been any more cooperation with White's team in recent weeks?
Nothing at all. Nothing. Zero.
Are you expecting him to make an event of the fight week? Do you expect him to be at the events? Any indication so far?
If he don't show up at the event, he won't get paid. Look, he's contracted to do various media duties. You need to speak to him. The fans want to hear what's happening, how he is, what he feels about the fight. It's natural. That's how you build shows up. That's how you build any event up. The participants get involved. He chose not to show up at the launch, which I was really disappointed with, and we'll deal with that after the fight. But irrespective of that, we sold out, absolutely sold out. So it's a Tyson Fury show. That's what it is, and that's how we've been promoting it. Fight week, he's going to have to step up to the plate, and he ain't going to get away with that without not able to look directly in Tyson's eyes.
It is the Tyson Fury show. We're delighted to have it on talkSPORT. But what can you tell us about the undercard? What can we look forward to?
We're hopefully announcing it on Monday. We were trying to do it this week, but we had a couple of guys get injured, so we've had to reschedule. couple of fights. So on Monday we'll be announcing it.
It looks like Anthony Joshua is on the lookout for an interim opponent. There's been some words exchanged between himself and Joe Joyce online. Is that a fight that you'd like to make? Is it realistic?
It absolutely make it. I know it's my old, I'm always saying it, in a heartbeat. What you got to lose? I fancy Joe. You know, for Joe, you look at the two fighters, Joe's got a tremendous chin, he's got great stamina. They talk about what happened to him as an amateur. Well, they're not amateurs anymore, they're pros. And if you look and see how they've got on since they've been pros, you know, AJ's done brilliantly, he's become world champion, but he also been beaten twice and he's been exposed, certainly in his last fight, very exposed. And I fancy Joe can knock him over.
Will you be reaching out to AJ's team to try and make that fight happen then?
We have made initial contact, but I don't think they'll go with it. If they want it, they can have it.
And what do you think happens in that fight?
I think Joe knock him out. I really do. I don't think he's got a great chin. If he can take AJ's power, if he can take it, if he's still got it, and punchers have to commit themselves. When they're throwing big shots, they have to commit themselves. They leave themselves exposed. And if you look at his last few fights, he's been a little bit wary. And I just think Joe, the juggernaut, has got a big heart. And he's tough and he's strong. And I think he can get to him, and I think he will stop him.
Before we finish, if it isn't Anthony Joshua next for Joe Joyce, then what next for him? It's been a while since he's been in action. He's had that injury as well, which he's recovering from.
He's recovering from his. He broke his wrist, which is not an ideal injury for any boxer, but he's broken his wrist. But he'll be out in May, and we are working on a couple of fights, a couple of opponents at the moment. And we'll finalise one, I think, within the next week or so.
Saw Daniel Dubois the other day. He was helping out his sister, who was training for her big fight. Yep. In a couple of weeks' time. But for him, we've got these purse bids which have been delayed
till
with
Monday.
Trevor Bryan.
Yep.
If you win those purse bids, where and when would you like that fight to take place?
We'll do it in London, and again, that will be on in May as well. You know, that's a good fight for him. We work very hard, and he's worked hard, but we work very hard behind the scenes to get him in that position. And they really mess us about the WBA. The champion, he's just fought very, very infrequently, and it's a shame how they've let that carry on. So we're determined to stop that. I could have got Daniel out a few times, but we didn't do it because I didn't want to jeopardise that spot that he was in. If we'd done that, they'd have gone to the next available. They don't really fancy the fight, I don't believe. But it's on, purse bid will be next week, and we want to get it over here in the UK.
And final question, two of your old fighters, Amir and Kell Brook, it looks like they both might continue with their boxing careers. What do you make of that?
Well, look, they made a lot of money, apparently. I don't know if those numbers are true, what they made, but if they are, they've made good money, the pair of them. Good luck to them. I don't think Amir should fight anymore. I was quite surprised how easy that he was gotten to. I thought I was really Kell. I just think Kell just seemed too big and too much for him. He should pack it in. He's got money, made money, and good luck to him, and God bless him, and now go and put his feet up. He's two-weight world champion, or won the world title twice, and that's it. And as regarding Kell, I don't know what he's got left, because it's the level they're at. And you know, let's not fool ourselves going into that fight. Both of them have seen better days. So, you know, let's not try and make it something it's not.